Okay, welcome. So here we are. We're going to fire up our 10-wheeler, the 1973 club engine. The first thing I do is grease. So underneath the chassis, there is 7 zert fittings. And then on the rods themselves around the engine, there is 10. So there's 17 zert fittings that you need to grease. I'm not going to be able to get a video underneath. So just there'll be pictures with locations on where to grease. Okay, so I just finished greasing everything. And now we're looking at the rods. So I'm just gonna wipe the grease off so we don't make a mess all over the place when we run. You got 1, 2, 3. You got that one in there. 4, 5. 5 on both sides. So there's 1. Sometimes you have to move this engine to get them in the right location. So right there. That bush in there, see right there. And then you got those 2. And then you got this last one, right there. Okay, so next up, I'm going to use oil. We use a 30 weight oil. We're just going to go around and hit all the locations that move. So right there, you see it comes out. Right up top, there, right there, right on that one. I grease the valve rods and the piston rods, also the crosshead. Do the same on the other side. Okay, so, and then you also want to do the water pump. I'll try to get a video of you guys in here. So there's a water pump is inside, right in the middle of the chassis there. I'm not going to be able to get it probably. So I'm going to pause it. Okay, I just finished greasing and oil in it. So now we're going to go ahead and fill it up with water. So there's your water valve. Goes right there. So we'll screw that in. You have your ball valve here, so you make sure it's open when you fill it. And we're going to go to about 2/3 of a glass. Okay, so grab the hose. I always flush out the hose. So going clean, just clean. So there's our boiler treatment. We're gonna go ahead and add 1 ounce to the water here. Okay, so the water glass is filling up. We're about 1/4 away. We're gonna shut it off about a little more than half. Let it get up to about 2/3 of a glass. All right, there's a good level for the water. So we'll go ahead and shut off the water at this point. Let's come over here to this valve. Kill the valve and take the hose off. Unscrew this. Boiler's done. Okay, fill up the tender. There's a valve. There it is right there. Ball valve, make sure the ball valve's closed. That's your drain. And then we'll just go ahead and fill up the tender. Okay, tender's full, so we're just gonna add a little bit of boiler treatment. About an ounce. And at this point, we could start to fire up the engine. So first thing to do would be to turn on the propane. So you got your main valve here. And then we're gonna turn on the regulator. Until it's, we're gonna do 17 pounds. Right there, 17 pounds. Then we want to add air. I'll put this down here. There we go. Plug our air in. There's our air. There's the air valve right there. So that's the air valve. Okay, so at this point we're going to light the fire. Just turn your flame on first. Stick it in a firebox. And you're just going to add the propane slowly until it lights. There it is. So now we're going to probably wait about 20 minutes or so until it gets up to 40 psi. So at 40 psi, you can take it off of house air and change it over to steam air. 40 psi, so we'll go ahead and turn the blower line off. So turn that off. Open your steam blower. And turn that valve open. There you go. And the point of the blower for propane is so you don't smell propane. So if you come up here and smell propane, you need more blower. If you don't, you can turn it down. Just play with it until you are in a happy spot with it. So at this point, you could turn it up just a little bit. You get like 2 or 3 psi on the gauge there. And you'll wait until the safety's pop at 110. Okay, so we're about up to pressure here. So at this point, you can test out your injector. So there's your water valve, usually right in the corner. Water's going to bring out the injector. The injector valve is up here. Turn it on, back off your water until it picks up. It shouldn't be dripping. Small drips are okay. So injector, water on, injector on to start. Exactly opposite of shutdown. Turn the injector off. Injector off. Water off. And then we're gonna wait until the safety's popped to go. Alright, there's your safety. Your safety's popped. And it should reset. It popped at 115, so it should reset at 110. You also want to make sure your lubricator is full. So there's a sight glass for your lubricator. And the cap just screws off. And fill up top there. my suggestion with all engineers, when you take over the engine, make sure your lubricator is topped off and make sure you oil your oil locations. That way it's your responsibility when you take over the engine. Johnson bar on the fire engineer side, go all the way forward. Cylinder cocks will open. You're going to blow steam out your cylinders to release water. There we are. Yeah, 110 at reset. So leave your cylinder cocks open to blow clean steam, no water left. Whistle valve, 2 pops, goes together. Cylinders are blowing clean steam now. You can feel your cylinder cocks right up top here. That's in launch location. Now we're going to go hook up our cars. They're over there in the box car. Okay, our cars are hooked up. Our engine's ready to go. It's up to operating pressure. We're going to head and go down to hook up, play with the party. Nice and slow on the throttle. And off we go. So just a familiar view with the operating of this engine. You have your whistle valve, you have your blower valve, you have your cylinder cocks, you have your injector, and you have your brakes. Right here, this bypass, that's for the axle pump. So back, this location is feeding back to the tender. In the forward position, it feeds from the tender to the engine. Okay, we're going to shut down the steamer now. So at this point, when we unload the cars, we go ahead and open the tender valve in the tender. So we'll get Chris to stop here. And we'll pop the tender, and then we'll back it down to the steaming bays. You could also kill the fire at this point. Okay? Chris, stop. Alright, so we'll go ahead and reach down here. Try and do this with one hand. There we go. We're going to go ahead and drain the tender, and then go ahead and kill the fire.
It's ready. Ready.
Alright, the fire's out. So then we go ahead and kill the blower. So just turn that off. And then we're just going to go ahead and back it down to the steam base. So back it up. We could also kill the propane tank.
We good.
So kill the main tank. And back off the regulator. There you go. And we'll go ahead and put it away. Okay, so we're ready to blow it down. Anywhere below 50 to 40 psi. So I always open up the front one here first. So that ball valve right there. Okay, so we're done with the blowdown. Now we're going to pressurize it with air with this fitting. That fitting goes right into the water fill fitting. And the goal is to pressurize it with air and run all the water out of the cylinders and the valves. Any excess water that would be in there will be evaporated by the heat of the steam engine afterwards. Okay, so we're pressurized with air. Just leave the air on and just run through every valve. So you got your whistle. Make sure all the air, the water gets out of there. Blower, just turn the blower all the way up. Nothing spitting. You're good at that. Go ahead and kill your blower. Injector, you could do that injector too. Blow it all. Brakes, you could hit the brakes. Blow any moisture out they can. And then cylinder cocks are, of course, inside the cylinder. So just run the engine back and forth until nothing pops out of the cylinders. Okay, that's it. So go ahead and kill the air. Turn that off and then just blow it down. Any extra moisture will be evaporated.